Hello and long everybody, welcome to the 1UP Nitro National Series, race number 9 of 25 in the series schedule for 2021, and we're bringing it to you live from the Denver Motorsports Park here in Aurora, Colorado. Alongside me in the booth, as always, is Duke Ansack for today's race. And this is a bit of a unique racetrack. It's a long one, sort of like a Michigan or an auto club, but it's shaped more with a more definitive tri-oval in it. We're going to see a lot of cars utilize that flat apron at the bottom of the track to get some passes done on that long front straightaway.
You know, I totally think it's possible. I mean, they're going to be using this whole entire racetrack for sure today to make passes, using the draft because it is such a massive facility, 2.25 miles. You know, that's a little bit longer than Auto Club in Michigan, but we see at both of those tracks that they can go pretty much anywhere in the corners and on the straightaways to pass one another. So I think it's going to be a lot of exciting 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 wide racing today. We'll see, but it sure will be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Looking at the starting lineup, we can see Jared Jackson finally gets his first career pole in the 1UP Nitro National Series. He lines up on the inside of the front row of Able to Grow alongside him after failing to qualify for the 1UP Superstar Series race. This is a great redemption for him. Justin Hutchinson makes his return to the Nitro National Series in the number 2 car this time for Royal Performance Motorsports after Sam Warning was released from that ride in the off week. He's alongside Dylan Young in 4th as we look through the rest of the starting grid. These drivers are going to have to contend with strategy here today because the fuel window for this race is about 45 to 50 laps, and this race is 50 laps long. So I ask you this, is who's going to be the best at conserving and who's going to try to stretch it? Who's going to try and make it the whole way without pitting, and who's going to have the charge and make a stop in the middle of the race?
I have no idea who's going to do what today, but I'll tell you that it is going to be exciting because that is right on the edge of being able to make it. So if you try to make it all the way, you're going to really have to save a lot during the course of the race. But there's a lot of race to be able to save, so that's going to be a really interesting storyline throughout this thing to see if there's anybody that splits the race and decides to go all out, or if there's anybody that tries to make it all the way to the end. And, you know, I'm really looking at that 23 car, Jared Jackson, today. I feel like it's about time for that car to have a breakout race. And starting on the pole is a pretty good way to start a good race for you. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be watching the 23 car, and I am excited for this one.
So that being said, the cars are lined up on the grid as always, and we're ready to bring you the action from Denver Motorsports Park. This is the 1UP Nitro National Series live from Denver, Colorado. The green flag is next. As the pace car pulls on the pit road, it leaves us in the hands of Jared Jackson in the 23, Able to Grow in the 5, with Justin Hutchinson and Dylan Young. Last time out, he was in victory lane. Let's see who does it today. The green flag is out, the field fan's out. We're underway at Denver Motorsports Park. They're already running 3 wide, and we haven't even made it to the first corner, but it looks like Jackson's got the advantage going in the 1.
Yeah, Jackson's out there all by himself, but he's got 3 wide following, and everybody else is back there. This is incredible so far. This racing is just going to be fantastic all day today. And look at that, Elijah Ironhouse coming up from 3rd row deep to start this race, already up into 3rd place because he had the bottom lane.
Yeah, that inside line is going to be your best friend around this place. Could Jared Jackson lead his the first laps of his 1UP Nitro National Series career? He's yet to lead in the first 8 races, but coming off of turn 4 to complete lap number 1, it looks like he'll be able to do it ahead of Justin Hutchinson, a Superstar Series veteran, and that's a really good way to impress people on your first time out, is leading laps early from pole position ahead of some veterans who are honestly way better drivers. But it just goes to show how strong that 23 car has been all season long.
Yeah, that 23 car, I feel like he's been on the cusp of getting a win, but as you can tell right here, the draft has allowed those 2 guys right behind him to catch right up. They're running bumper to bumper to bumper right now.
Yeah, you might want to keep an eye out for some contact. Ooh, the 2 has to back off just a little bit, and that causes a bit of a stack up. You'll see that quite often as the day progresses. These cars can get oh so close, but then they in the middle of the quarter they have to back off, and that can cause a bit of a chain reaction. You got to be careful when that happens. As now Ironhouse and Hutchinson are side by side for the second position. It looks like the 8's going to have the run going into the corner, but you can just send it so far, so much further into the inside line, and Hutchinson has prevailed.
Yeah, absolutely it has. You know, that bottom lane is the shorter way around, and if you can hold the throttle the same as you can on the outside, then the outside lane's just not going to have any advantage. So the inside lane for sure right now is the place to be, and that's where the passes are going to have to be made, because it's just way faster down there. So we'll see as this race progresses. Like you said, people having to back off in the middle of the corner. That's going to be tough, especially in a situation like we just saw where you've got a car behind, and you know, it kind of hurt the 8 car more than it hurt the 2 when the 2 had to let off the throttle in the middle of that corner. So we'll see how it goes. The draft is strong, so it's going to be a tight race either way, but I'm excited to see what happens. And to add, you know, we're gonna have to see who all is saving right now. We're probably gonna have to look farther back in the pack to see who is saving in this race. If we can even tell right now, I'm not sure. But these 3 up front are racing hard.
Yeah, Jared Jackson's doing the least bit of saving of anybody because he's cutting the big hole in the air for everybody else. It's like a super speedway almost as they glide past the start-finish line to start lap number 5. Jared Jackson is doing no fuel saving whatsoever, but Justin Hutchinson and Elijah Ironhouse, I feel like they're trying to stay in the draft of Jared Jackson as long as they possibly can, to save a little bit of fuel, like touch off the gas a little bit in the middle of the straightaways, but still able to keep up. It's almost like a super speedway in that regard. And as you can see, Dylan Young is caught up to these 3 in the 92. Remember, he won last time the Nitro National Series raced at Texas World Speedway, a track very similar in shape to this. So if there's anyone I'm keeping my eye on today, it's that 92 car, because he's proven to be very adept at this type of circuit.
For sure, Dylan Young has old Mo on his side. Old Momentum is following Dylan Young around, so you know that's always helpful to get a win and then to come to a track that's very similar in type and style and speed. You know, it's just it's got to be good. We're maybe seeing a move for second. It doesn't look like it though. They're just getting really close. Something I want to mention to everybody as we're watching this is that the closer you are to the car in front of you, the more you're able to save fuel. So right now this looks like a stack-up situation. It's everybody's moving around, getting out of the way. But you know, the closer you are, the more fuel you can save because the more draft you're getting. So when you see cars get right up on each other, that's just allowing them to save more and more fuel, and that's going to be a big topic today.
So Justin Hutchinson leading the pack in second place. Jared Jackson's pulled out to about a 6/10 lead out in front of this race on lap number 7. But Hutchinson and Ironhouse now side by side for second. With who will Young go with to try and help along in the draft? It looks like Hutchinson will be able to clear Ironhouse for the time being. But here comes Denoto in the 00 as well. Denoto had a strong run at Texas World as well, so don't count him out in the bid for victory. I'm just curious to see which of these cars will go all out and split this race up, and which of these cars will try and conserve and make it the whole way on one stop, on no stops rather. Will it be the 0-stop strategy or the 1-stop strategy that will prevail here at Denver Motorsports Park today?
Yeah, I really couldn't tell you. We're going to have to see exactly how slow the people that are saving are going to have to go. It's going to be all about that, because if you have to go so slow that a pit stop is going to end up making your race faster, then it's going to be more worth getting the pit stop there. But we'll see, of course, right now. And this group that we're watching has fallen far enough behind Jared Jackson that they might not be getting much of a tow. Like the 2 car right there, he probably is punching a hole in the air similar to the 23, and he's not able to really save much fuel like that. So they've got to catch back up if they want to start saving. Thank you to the leader, of course. But right now, you know, they're just riding at this point. You know, they're not making a lot of moves. They're not being super aggressive, and that's how you're going to have to do it in this race. You're just going to have to be patient. For now, you're going to have to wait and make sure that you can make it to where you got to go without getting too crazy. And it looked like they were 3 wide or 2 wide for third place there. So we'll see how this race goes. I'm fascinated at this strategy situation right now because we can't tell who is saving and who isn't.
As we said at the top of the show, the fuel window is about 45 to 50 laps, and take a look at that lap counter at the top of the screen. This race is only 50 laps long in total. So people may start running out of fuel on the final lap, coasting down the back straightaway towards the checkered flag. We never know. It could be one of the... We've seen that plenty of times before in this style of racing, but it's only a matter of time before we figure that out as we cross the 1/5 distance in this race. But here comes Justin Hutchinson on a bit of a charge now on the 23s. We take a look at the lap traffic, as it looks like Giovanni Pena has gone a lap down, making an early pit stop. That will end his day unless they can cycle this race through completely. But tough break for the 99, but there's always 2 weeks from now at Hillside where you can try and recover there.
Yep, absolutely. You know, you always want to look forward to the next race, especially if you have a little bit of an issue. Put it behind you and figure it out next week, you know. And I think that it's interesting that Hutchinson was able to catch up to the 23 from so far behind. It makes me wonder how much that 2 car has been saving behind the 23, because if he was able to kind of turn it up and catch right back up, that says to me that the 2 car is really, really fast right now, or that the 23 is trying to save. And I'm not sure. I don't think you could save much out front like that. It's probably not the best idea, but the 2 car really is looking stout right now. My eyes are on him to save enough and make it to the end of this race.
You can do a little lifting and coasting going into the corners as the leader, but it's not going to do you a whole lot of good unless you've got draft to back it up. And keep in mind, this 2 car going into this race was 32nd in owner's points with Sam Warning behind the wheel. It was not a very good car. So you can just one race with Justin Hutchinson behind the wheel, and look at that, it's a top 5 car all of a sudden as Ironhouse and Young get really close to each other and to Hutchinson, and they're starting to get a move on around him as the 8 and 92 team up on this newly found speeded 2 car. And there goes Young onto the apron of the racetrack to try and take second spot away from Ironhouse. This is going to be side by side going in the turn 1 in a big way.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And look at this, it's going to work out. Well, the 8 car is going to ride some momentum on the outside. We'll see how that works out down the straightaway. There's 2 cars pushing down the bottom, though, so I don't think it's going to work out for very long. It's Dylan Young, Sam Donato flying past Elijah Ironhouse there in the 8 car. But, you know, this racing is kind of changing my mind. I was just saying that they might be saving, they might be sticking behind the leader to save some fuel in the draft, but that racing that I just saw right there with the 8 pop out and then Dylan Young and Sam Donato pushing past, I can't imagine they're saving a lot of fuel going all out like that.
Now, we don't want the majority of this conversation to be about fuel. We do want to see some really good racing, and that is what we're seeing as Dylan Young now makes a move to the inside of Jackson for the top spot. But this time his drafting partner Donato tucks in behind Jackson, but now they both move to the inside, and it looks like this is going to be a done deal. No, not quite. They have the back out of it because the 92, it looks like, got his left sides onto the apron there. You can do that, but it might cost you a little bit of time depending on the situation. And now they're side by side for second with Jackson continuing to lead from pole. He's led all 14 laps so far.
Yeah, that was close. Jackson was a sitting duck there for a second, and all of a sudden that on the bottom lane must have gotten a little bit loose on the bottom. Or touching the apron there.
And I think Sam Donato looks like... Yeah, he just ran way... Ooh, that was almost a wreck between he and Jared Polanski in the 18. That's something you really want to avoid here at Denver, is A, running that high up in the racetrack in the middle of the corner and losing all the time, and B, coming back down and risking collision with another car as he just did. But Donato will live to fight another day. And Dylan Young's making a move for second on Hutchinson to complete lap 15. We're making strong headway into this race with Young tracking down Jackson for the lead, but no one's had anything for that 23 so far.
Yeah, that was really scary with the 00 car. He got way up there in the marbles on the outside lane and came back down. It was a really close situation, but everybody made it, and Sam Donotto is still in the race up front here. So this is interesting. I think that Dylan Young it is a little bit quicker than that 23 car right now, just based on what I'm looking at. Of course, it could be the draft blinding me a little bit to who has faster cars or whatnot. But yeah, I think that he's going to try to go for the lead here. You know, he's been pretty aggressive trying to pass people. He's worked his way up from a little bit farther back. So we'll see when the move happens. We haven't seen any passing for the lead yet, but it could come here as Dylan Young is moving to the bottom lane. We'll see.
They're going to be side by side for the lead off of 2.
Yeah.
Dylan Young is alongside the 23. He's pulling clear of the 23. He is clear of the 23.
Oh,
Dylan Young is your new race leader on lap 17. So all that momentum from Texas World is paying off because now this 92 is back out in front. Now the question is, has he saved enough? We keep going back to the fuel question, but it's going to be a big topic of conversation throughout this race.
Yeah.
Has the 92 saved enough behind the 23, and now can he save even more to try and make this race? Or will he try and go all out, split the race in half perhaps? It's only a matter of time before we figure out the answer to that question. And looks like Ryan Caggiano's making a move up to 3rd ahead of Justin Hutchinson. It's a Toyota party up here with 5 looks like 5 Toyotas running like in the 3rd through 8th positions right here, with only Elijah Ironhouse. Actually, both Team Duke cars are up there now. So it's just a matter of getting these Toyotas working together and aligned up properly, because these are multiple organizations fielding these Toyotas, so they got to find a way to work together a little bit to try and catch the 2 out front, the Mustang and the Camaro out in front of this lead.
Yeah, you know, those 2 are pulling away quite a bit here as these guys are racing. So I'm curious to see if any of these guys back here have anything for them at this moment. We'll just have to see. But yeah, both of the Team Duke cars found each other right there. We'll see if maybe they can make some headway, work together a little bit as a couple of teammates right there. So we'll see. You know, the manufacturer teammate side of it with all the Toyotas right there. Sam Donotto's going a little wide again. Oh man, that always makes me nervous, because that outside lane, everybody's running the bottom 2 lanes. As soon as you go a little bit higher than that, you're going to start getting into some marbles, and that just makes me nervous, because you get those marbles on your tires and it's like ice out there. So, you know, it's fascinating that he's kind of pushing that line up as we go. Oh, look out from the back. I keep on getting distracted. This is some amazing racing. It's a gaggle of cars racing all for 5th place right there.
Starting with Jared Polansky, he's kind of the cork in the bottle right now, with 5 cars under a blanket behind him. Peter Onjak's joining the party in another Toyota. Keon Daly and another one is joining the fray as well. And Alex, I think, had all 4 tires under that white line through 3 and 4. That is legal. You are allowed to do that, but man, it just goes to show how much of this track they're willing to explore to find the right racing line to get them that oh so important advantage in who's going to settle this race.
You're absolutely right, you know, and here's something interesting is that Dylan Young has been able to start driving away from Jared Jackson since he took the lead. Now, Jared Jackson is kind of hanging out a little bit right in there, but he isn't able to get up to his bumper quite like we saw other people get up to Jared Jackson's bumper. So we'll see how it goes. And this racing is still, they were almost 3 wide for a second there. People going on the apron. There's just not enough banking down there to make a move with all 4 tires below. You have to back off because you start to get loose. But we're looking at some fantastic driving right here.
You've got your 2 cars side by side for 7th position right now, and they're not giving each other a whole lot of room, and that's allowed Peter Onjak, Keon Daly, and look, Kenneth Grant's making a move, the Pensacola winner. He's been on a bit of a cold streak lately, but he's making moves. He's running 11th now, just ahead of his teammate Keith Hughes. As we look at the battle for 3rd now between Caggiano and Donotto, 2 Toyotas from different organizations, but they're both making charges towards the front, and hopefully if these 2 can work together well enough, we could see a 4-car battle for the lead here shortly.
Yeah, that would be nice. You know, we had a pretty solid battle going on with a bunch of cars for the lead, but then everything started to get a little bit split up You know what? They're making headway on Jared Jackson, at least. I can't quite tell where the 92 is ahead of them. We'll see in this shot for sure. Yeah, they're pretty evenly spaced there. You know, they're catching up. Eventually, it's going to kind of flow, and just they're going to get up there. They've got a little bit better drafting help right now, so I think that these two Toyotas are headed to the front for sure, and we're going to see a little bit of a battle here. We're getting to the point in the race where I feel like if people have been saving, there goes Sam Denota to the bottom. He's not looking forward to getting to the front. He's trying to make the move right now to get to third all by himself. But, you know, if people have been saving during this race, I feel like they're probably getting close to being able to make it if they've been saving a lot. So we might start to see people make moves from the back coming towards the front more, or maybe some of these guys who have been up front all day, maybe they're going to start kicking it into high gear a little bit, like Dylan Young, you know, and start trying to drive away and lead this race a little bit now that they've got enough fuel.
Yeah, so Sam Gennaro takes third spot away from Caggiano in the 81. Looking at the fastest lap, Polanski holds that with a 44.36. That's about where they, a little faster actually than their qualifying time. So,
wow,
just goes to show the draft is a key factor in determining who gets that fastest lap point on the day. It doesn't matter at all to Jared Polanski. He's not running for championship points here, but it could make a difference in the Owners' Championship with that 18 car running the full schedule. So it's a good story to keep an eye on. But Sam Denota right now has caught Jared Jackson and is just looking for the right opportunity to get past as we look at Caggiano and Polanski. Will he let his boss through for fourth position? Doesn't look like it. He's just going to try and keep the spot for himself and try and find a way to make his own way to the front, trying to become the first driver to win in both divisions in their career.
Yeah, that would be a really impressive statistic to have for that 18 car and Jared Polanski. Of course, we know how dangerous he can be in the Superstar Series, so that's that would be something else to see him win in both. And we're watching Sam Denota just absolutely hounding that 23 car. He's going to have to make the move at the right spot. He's kind of pushing the 23 almost down the backstretch here. He's going to want to make a move and jump out of line and try to get low, and he's not going to do it this time. Boy, are they close going through the goal. Oh, he jumped high. He's going to make a move up high, and it's not going to work. The 23 is going to have too good of a run on the bottom, shorter distance around the track, and he's going to keep that position. So, you know, this is some fascinating battles here, because you have to set up the pass so much sooner than you're actually making the pass. You have to kind of use the whole track and figure out where the momentum is going to take you and how to time it just right so you're catching them right at the entry of a corner. It's really interesting to watch these guys try to work to pass each other, because there's so much going on underneath just the surface level of making the pass.
Yeah, you can send it in the turns 1 and 3 really deep, as Sam Gennaro just did, but it comes at the cost of corner exit, and you really do need that in order to set up a pass going into the next set of corners. So let's see what the gap is coming across the line. It gained marginally, but it's not going to be enough, I don't believe, to catch Young at this point in time. He continues to lead, but man, these guys are sending it into one so hard. I'm just wondering if they're even concerned about making it to the end, or if they're just going to say, screw it, let's just go to about lap 30 or so, pit, get some fresh tires. Those are going to be a big advantage as well for people who are going to try a one-stopper in this race, to shot on some fresh tires and run circles around everybody else on the old ones.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and especially watching these guys drive so deep into the corners, that can't be good for the right front tire, because when you drive into the corner like that, you lean the entire weight of your car on that right front tire. So for sure they are hurting right now. Those tires are screaming around this place, going so fast and with so much load. So we'll see what happens. I'm not convinced of either strategy quite yet. We'll have to see what the lap times look like and how fast people go after they make their first pit stop, if they do make that pit stop. And it's going to be really, really interesting to watch. As Sam Donotto tries that outside move again, is it going to work this time? Oh, I don't know. They're side by side right now, and this is going to allow Caggiano to catch right up.
And Polanski as well. The two Kings Motorsports cars are making inroads, and this side-by-side racing has just allowed Young to extend his gap at the top of the table to now almost a full second. You can see him off in the distance there, but Donotto is going to make the outside pass work on Jared Jackson. He's clear for second, and now he's got two more Toyotas right behind him to try and help him complete that pass. But Jackson's not giving it up. He's got Polanski now on his bumper, and he's going to send it off into the corner.
Ooh.
They're going to stay side by side for a long time, as long as they can get away with. But
Jackson had to let off.
And they're pitting. They're making they're splitting the race. Sam Donotto and Jared Jackson are splitting the race.
Wow.
They're the first two cars to attempt this strategy. We'll see how it works out for them, but no one else has come with them. That's gotta be a bit of a hurt for them. But we'll see how they fare for the rest of this race. But right now it's Dylan Young with a now monumental 2.4 second lead over now second place Ryan Caggiano.
Yeah, and we kind of expected that Jared Jackson would have to do a strategy similar to that because he was leading for so long, but without any draft, without being able to save. But that was surprising that there were only two of them that pitted that time. We'll have to see if anybody else pits this time, but if it's only those two drivers that attempt this strategy, that makes me think that the rest of this field knows something that maybe we don't.
Yeah, here you can see them coming out of the pits now. Jackson has gone a lap down, and Donotto will soon as well. So they're going to come out right behind the leader of Dylan Young. So my question is, with the fresh tires and the full load of fuel, can they now start clicking off hot laps for the rest of the race and try to make up the gap lost? We'll see how it works for them, if it works for them at all. I'm hoping it does work, because this is some brilliant strategy playing going on at the Motor Dash Racing team and the Coda Racing System team as well. So you can see Donotto right there, clear of all this traffic, but now, and then Jared Jackson right alongside his teammate Felix Anderson, the two similar IKEA Chevrolets racing each other. But Donotto is, I think, in the best position. He's clear of all that traffic, and now it's just between him and Dylan Young to try and settle whether or not he gets this lap back or not.
Yep, every single lap that passes by that Sam Donotto car, really, he needs to be driving and trying to catch up to Dylan Young. He needs to get there, he needs to pass him, and he needs to drive away, because if he can do that and Dylan Young has to pit at some point, that's just going to give Sam Donotto a huge advantage. And look at those tires roll. I mean, he is absolutely faster than the 92. That is amazing how much those fresh tires are helping him. I bet you everybody in the pits is watching this right now and saying, oh man, we should have pitted, because those tires are incredibly quick. We'll see if he jumps out here. I'd expect him to. I hope he does, because he's so much faster. Don't get run over in the corners.
We should have noted earlier, a couple other cars did come with Donotto and Jackson, but they were not among the top 10. They were Kyle Vaughters and Miles Mashburn. They were not going for championship points. They were going to try and roll the dice, see if they can't sneak a win out of this somehow. But our main focus is now on Donotto and on Jackson, who Donotto has just gotten his lap back. And Jared Jackson on the apron of the racetrack trying to get around Alexa Lutchin and Peter Onjak now. In a 3-wide move not for position, but look at that. Look at that traction on that 23. He's going places. He just cleared 3 cars in one corner, and he's coming up on number 4 right now. Yeah,
he is. Those new tires really are impressive. I'm very surprised that not more people had realized that that was going to happen, because that strategy seems to be working out very nicely right now. The 00 car has probably pulled away pretty far from the leader, and the 23 is obviously faster right now. Here's our leader, and you can't even see the 00 in the picture anymore. Here he is going into turn 1 already. So it's kind of hard to tell where they are on the track with each other, but this is going to be really, really interesting to see if I guess that the question at this point is, can Sam Donotto and Jared Jackson go all the way around the track and then pass everybody in the field, or does everybody in the field run out of fuel? I really couldn't tell you, but there's a couple laps left here. There's what is that, like 15 laps to go?
Yeah, 15 laps to go in this race. It's just a matter of, can Jackson and Donotto click off some lightning fast laps and hope that the rest of the field can't make it on fuel? Because it looks to me at this point in time like Young, Caggiano, Polanski, and they're gonna try and stretch it. Because if they were gonna split this race, they would have done it by now. So I think they've made their bets now, and they're just trying to hold on and see if any of them can hang on for the win. Young's already got a win in the bank. He's got really nothing to lose. He's got a good points position, and he's looking forward to adding win number 2 to his tally.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And because of the fact that there were so many people that were on this strategy, the worst that could happen here for the 92 is that both Sam Donotto and Jared Jackson pass him, and then he finishes third, unless of course he runs out of fuel. But at this point, you've got to save and make sure that you can go to the end, because if you're still out there on the track without having pitted, you will not pit in this race. Unless something bad happens, So here comes Jared Jackson right now. It's just another example. This is even after a few laps we're watching on these tires, that the advantage you have on the fresh tires is still absolutely incredible.
Because keep in mind, Young has had... Oh, look at Jackson fly through that corner. I was saying Young has had these tires on since lap 1. He's run 38 laps on these tires. Jackson's only had about 6 or 7 maybe. So at this rate, it's not a matter of if this 23 will get past. It's a question of when. And I imagine it'll be sooner rather than later. And he might even do it around the outside. He's just got such a good pace advantage. Look at him go.
Yeah, right around the outside. The 23 easily passes the leader right there. But, Dylan Young, he's got a huge advantage over Ryan Caggiano in second place. So he has a ton of breathing room right now to save as much as he needs to be able to save. He can manage that gap. And, it's just going to be a matter of if those two drivers can catch back up. I'm looking at Sam Donotto to see if he is going to be able to get all the way back through this field. I don't know. It's gonna be tough with only 11 laps to go right now. But I am so curious to see whether they're able to do it.
It's a big question lying around this 92 car. He's got a really big lead. He can afford to give up a couple tenths a lap now.
Yeah.
He can just try and save as much as he can. Although I don't know if the race car driver in it wants to save as much as they're telling him to, because he just wants to go fast and finish first. And he's currently doing that. He's going really fast, and he's running in first now with a 3.5 second lead over the two Kings, over actually 4 Toyotas running behind him. But it's just a matter of time before it catches up to him, and he's got to woe it down, because you can see the gap is quite expansive, and it's actually... It did go down a little bit. You can see Sam Donotto. He's powering off turn 2 right now. Jackson's in the middle of the corner, and now Young's going through that as well. You can see, look at the gap they've pulled already. Yeah. You can see it all there. Those fresh tires are a godsend, and they're very good to have. The question is, will it be enough with only 10 laps to go?
Oh boy, I'm starting to think that maybe it won't be enough. This track is enormous, and they're going to have to be making passes at some point. So I think that they would have had to be going a lot quicker, or at least the 92 would have had to be going a lot slower for something monumental like they're attempting to do to be pulled off. it's going to be interesting. The 92 has gained a little bit of time on this battle right here between the teammates, but we'll see how it turns out. We're watching these guys all racing each other. This is good. This is another car. This is Kyle Vaughters, right?
Yeah, he'd also pitted, and there's Miles Mashburn behind him in the yellow car.
Yeah.
They also pitted for fresh tires. They just were further behind in the pack, hoping to make something happen. And right now, Vaughters has caught up to his new hire, he's saying, "Get out of the way! I'm trying to make this strategy work," and it looks like he's gonna do it. And he's actually gonna get around Polanski as well. So we'll see if it works out for Vaughters and for Mashburn. Remember, these guys are not full-time in the series. They do these races for fun and to try and add more trophies to their cabinet. And with Vaughters getting his first career superstar win at Armory Digital last week, he's just looking for more. And he's looking to become the first guy to win in both series as well now.
Yeah, and he's got a couple more people on that strategy just ahead of him. But if their strategy is the one that happens to work out and everybody else's fails, then it's he's looking at a solid third place finish as of right now. And of course, a caution could throw this a wrench in this whole thing. And if a caution were to come out, I'm not sure if that would help the people on the one-stop strategy, because of the fact that they will have older tires than everybody that pits. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out right now.
Yeah,
92 is looking really good.
Plus, two of them are still a lap down now, Mashburn and Vaughters, so they would be trapped there. You can see Vaughters in the distance gaining on Young here, and we're coming to 6 laps to go this time, and the lead is pretty much stabilized at over 3 seconds throughout the rest of this race. So Young's just got to keep it together for these final 6 laps, and he can get his second win in a row here if he manages it right.
Yeah, I just don't see that 00 car on the 23 making enough time to be able to catch back up after going a lap down like that. It's just, it's really, there's just not enough time left in this race, of course. Now, if the 92 runs out of fuel, that'll be a different story. But right now, it looks like the 92 is handily going to win this race. He's got plenty of gap to give up, and now he's got Kyle Vaughters right behind him, who's going to go by maybe on the outside here. He's just going to have to find some way, somehow, to get around. Oh, he's just going to... Yep, there he goes, around the outside, easily because of the fresh tires. Even though they're about 15 laps old at this point, but... they're a lot fresher than 45-lap old tires.
Yeah, and Young's got to try and stay in the draft of Vaughters and or Mashburn if Mashburn gets past him as well, because Young needs to save even more fuel with 5 laps to go. He's running an awful lot slower than these cars around him. It's just, this is just one of those races, isn't it? Where you're several drivers on contrarian strategies. It's anyone's guess which one will win out. But the real winner, regardless of who crosses the finish line first, is the people watching this, because this is some brilliant stuff.
Oh, it's absolutely entertaining. This is just one of those things that's crazy. But right now we are in the danger zone. The fuel window starting this race was 45 to 50 laps. And right now we have completed somewhere between 45 and 50 laps. We're looking at 47, right in the middle of that. So this is where it happens. This is where we're going to find out who has saved what fuel and who is going to be able to make it to the end of this thing.
Yeah, Young's coming off a turn 2 now. I'm curious to see. He's got 3.5 laps to try and survive and make it on fuel. Yeah, if this strategy works, Dylan Young will be a hero for that Fingai Saitomi Motorsports team. And if it doesn't work, what a heartbreak that'll be for that team, as it looks like he's coming off a 4, and he's not going to make it. Dylan Young has to pit. That will hand the lead to Ryan Caggiano in the 81. There he goes.
Wow.
Several cars making stops. Michael McCuskey. Actually, no, that's Chris Lattimore. I'm thinking of the Superstar Series, where that 47 also runs. They're painted very similarly. You can excuse my mistake. But, yeah, you can see Francois Chastain coming out of the pits now as Caggiano cycled through with 3 laps to go. Who's going to make it on fuel? It looks like 5 cars stayed on the racetrack for the time being. This is getting intense with 3 laps to go. Coming to 2, can Ryan Caggiano be the first driver to win in both series? We've got 2 laps left to decide it, or can Polanski do it? We're so close to finding out. It looks like they're
both coming in.
They're both coming in. This means Justin Hutchinson will assume the race lead. Can he become the first driver to win in both series? He's gonna try and make it work. 2 laps of racing to go, and it looks like Keon Daly staying out with him in the 52. But, man, everybody else is coming down pit road. You see Nicky Martinez, Brett Bishop, Aaron Hall, Mark Davey. They're all coming out of the pits. But Justin Hutchinson, he is on a mission. These are the first laps he's led all afternoon. So if anybody saved enough fuel, it's this guy right here. We're coming to the white flag this time, and if he doesn't pit this time, he's going for it.
Yeah, and remember how long that 2 car was behind those people in the beginning of this race. He was able to save a lot of fuel. We'll see if it's enough. Is he going to pit? He's going for it.
This is going
to be interesting.
White flag in the air. One more time around from Denver Motorsports Park, and it's Justin Hutchinson leading the way on the final lap, with Keon Daly running right behind him. They've got scores of cars trying to track them down. But at this point, it's all up to these 2. It's up to Hutchinson and Daly fighting to try and keep this track position, fighting to get this 1-2 finish, fighting to get that first win in the Nitro National Series for both drivers. And for this 2 car especially, it was 32nd in owners points going into today. That's all going to go out the window, because now, as he goes around the pit exit car of Zachary DeLello, off of turn 4 for the final time, is the fuel going to last? It looks like it will. He's coming past the pit straight now. He's staying on the track. Justin Hutchinson off of 4. He's going to take the checkered flag and become the first driver in series history to win in both of the 1UP Racing Series divisions. How about that for a final 5 laps?
Oh, man, that was something else. And if you look at the leaderboard, they haven't finished the race yet, but it looks like Sam Donotto will have made it back up to 5th place. Yeah, 5th place for the 00 car after all that. So this was some entertaining racing. I can't believe that the 2 car was able to make it. But, you know, he just had a ton of time to save fuel and sitting behind everybody in the draft. And the 52 is... I think he might have blew a tire.
I think his right front tire blew out on the cooldown lap. If this race had been 1 lap longer, his day would have been over right there. He is so lucky to have completed this race in the position that he did in 2nd place. Christian Russell gets his career best finish in 3rd, ahead of Devin Fair with his first top 10 of the season in 4th. Sam Donotto and Jared Jackson made it all the way back to 4th and to 5th and 6th. How about Sam Joseph getting his first career top 10 in a car that was outside the top 40 in owners points? Yeah. He's got a top 10 result as well, ahead of the pitting cars of Dylan Young, who made it back to 8th at the end, and Kyle Vaughters and Miles Mashburn on the contrarian strategy. They ran that the top 10. And with Jared Polanski taking the fastest lap as well and finishing 11th in the race, that'll be a boon of points for him. But man, this race was full of everything you could ever hope for in a race. Full of fuel strategy, a lot of passing, and a great battle to the end. It was a battle of attrition, mind, but it was a great battle regardless.
Absolutely it was. You know, it's just one of those things. Sometimes it works out that way, that you've got to plan your whole race before it even starts, and the 2 car was able to do that today. So congratulations to them from Denver. You know, this is an absolutely incredible racetrack. I hope to come back at some point, because it looks beautiful the whole way around, and what a race. It just pumps me up to gets me excited to watch the next one.
Which will be in 2 weeks' time from Hillside Speedway in Massachusetts. We'll be looking forward to bringing the action from that 1 mile oval as well. So from Duke Antak and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Denver Motorsports Park, and we say congratulations to Justin Hutchinson, his first race with the Royal Performance Motorsports team, and he takes him to victory lane here at Denver.